He's suspended for the first 8 games, but what do you expect from first Nick Chubb, and how does that help him having that pressure of front behind him?
Well,
you give him another deal.
First of all, Nick Chubb is a kid that thus far, as young as he is, seems immune to the pressure to some degree. He's not really cowed by anybody else. He's the guy who's, I'm just worried about me. But second, I don't know that there is another player that has been talked about, another player's improvement that has been talked about the same way as Nick Chubb has been talked about in this organization. Obviously, from year 1 to year 2 is when you expect the biggest jump from a player. But Nick Chubb had a heck of a first year a year ago. He's looked great all year. Very, very reliable. He's proven to be that he can be a third down back, a 3-down back. And when you go back to Duke Johnson being so upset, the way that he was used last year, then again in June, again in the spring, staying away from OTA, coming back in June and reiterating that he wants to trade, hiring a new agent in Drew Rosenhaus, who, as of last week, had already had 2 conversations with the Browns, although the Browns have maintained, guys, that their plans include Duke Johnson because, as you mentioned, Kareem Hunt will be suspended, so they need 2 running backs. It's not as if they can get by, but Duke Johnson was just Nick Chubb. Sorry, Duke Johnson hasn't practiced just yet, and there's another young guy by the name of Hilliard, Damon Hilliard, I believe, who's Dontrell Hilliard, who's looked very good thus far as well with the opportunities that he's had.
Yeah, and it is really interesting with the Duke Johnson situation because Freddie Kitchens, he did mention, like, we have him here, we like him, we want to use him. This is a guy that could help us win games. And we know, Joe, that this is a running game that, you know, it's a work in progress, and they were Nick Chubb was really good last year. He really flashed.
Nick Chubb is an incredible running back, and it's going to be really fun for Browns fans to see what he looks like after being the feature back all offseason, where he can really hone on his skill sets. And then he's going to be the feature back going into the season, which wasn't the case last year. It wasn't until they traded Carlos Hyde that he became the feature running back. And so I think once you become the man at that position, you start to take a little bit more ownership in that position. And I think you're going to see tremendous growth out of Nick Chubb from where he was even last year.
You know what, but let me ask you, Joe, because I know we've talked about this, and Colleen and I were chatting about this. Duke Johnson, we're looking at him right there, number 29. He's got the hood over his head. He hasn't practiced. So him being very vocal and saying that he wants to trade, and then Baker Mayfield, the quarterback, being equally vocal, saying, hey, we want guys who want to be here, and I wish that Duke hadn't said that publicly. That was kind of what was lost. Baker was saying, if you're unhappy, keep it in-house, don't go public. How did all that play to you as you're watching that from afar, when you've been inside this locker room, and now you're a couple years removed? What do you think of that?
Well, I think from a player's perspective, you always want to keep the drama in-house as much as possible. When you're talking, especially business stuff, you don't want that to go public, because there's really nothing good that can come of it from a team's perspective. And when you look at it from the Browns' perspective, they want to keep Duke Johnson. He's a good running back. He's a very important weapon that can be used in this offense a little bit maybe more sparingly than he wants, but he's definitely a weapon that they would like to keep, because while Kareem Hunt is here, he is still suspended for the first half of the season. And once he comes back, you don't know what you're going to get from him, because he has been out of football. And so Duke Johnson is that insurance policy that they really want to keep. And so I think that's why it's been a little bit of a tough situation for the player and the team.
And you know what, Joe, you make another good point in that John Dorsey has been very vocal in saying that Freddie Kitchens has some really good plans for Duke Johnson. And Freddie said that, and there's John Dorsey right there as we look at him.
Look at that. Perfect timing. How is he wearing a sweatshirt? It is so hot out here.
He has 7 of them. He wears them every single day. And his 8-year-old son also has them.
Is it almost like when wrestlers are trying to make weight, like, and they wear the plastic suits?
You keep talking about that sweater.
What I do when I'm talking about, like, someone running in a plastic suit. But it's remarkable that he has a sweatshirt in. But continue.
So my point being is that the Browns do say that they have special plans for Duke Johnson. They do plan to use him in different ways. And what's so interesting here is that as much as we talk about this passing offense, even Joe just said he is so excited about the way the Browns are going to throw the the ball. Just yesterday, Freddie Kitchens said, everybody slow down. No, we are still going to be running the football. We have to be able to run the football. You can't only do that.
Right. And I want to ask you, Joe, about the run blocking. What do you want to see from that unit, and how can they help this running game elevate to even the next level?
He had 5 straight completions in a
Well, the Browns have a new offensive line coach in James Campen, and I'm really interested to see what type of techniques that he's going to be teaching, because offensive line is one of those positions that gets taught very differently across the NFL. There's not one right way or one wrong way, but it's always interesting as a O-line geek to see kind of how he's teaching those techniques, how it fits with what Freddie Kitchens wants with this offense, and how that's going to fit with the running backs, and how Nick Chubb is going to run within the confines of this offense and the blocking schemes that James Campen and Freddie Kitchens have put together.
You guys.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Joe, that you mentioned the new offensive line coach, because there was some news about the old offensive line coach.
Bob Wiley, the former O-line coach, who was one of the stars of Hard Knocks a year ago. Bob Wiley and his belly were stars of Hard Knocks a year ago. He came out this weekend. Sorry.
Did you see that one throw he made?
Is that a knot? For good reason. Well, he very quickly this weekend, he came out and he said he didn't know that Freddie Kitchens was the man for the job. He said that the Browns should have stuck with Greg Williams, who was the interim head coach and who now, of course, is with the Jets. And then Freddie Kitchens yesterday said anybody who leaks to the media will be fired off of his staff.
So the warning is out there. I love it. I love it all. And it all came to us because of Hard Knocks, which is premiering tonight, by the way, guys. So check that out. We, of course, are here all day long in Berea, Ohio. There's Baker Mayfield. We are going to talk to him after practice. We'll have more from Browns training camp coming up.
You have to tell me, what are they going to do? I just know Brady's going to play until he's 45 at a high level. Well, I don't know. You said he won't play. But now you're trying to wish.
It doesn't have to be this high.
Why would they guarantee Tom Brady
just because you lost your car?
It's your turn.
You don't get him because
at the General, we make it easy to get affordable car insurance. Payments are low, and you choose your payment due date. Get your hassle-free online quote. Ride with the
3 championships in a row, then 4, then 5, and then 6.
For a great low rate, you can get
up with a new motivation. I say, it's just crazy.
This is a Surface Laptop 2, and this is a real person named Mackenzie Book.
He's not. That wasn't.
So Mac, which laptop lasts longer?
I'm going to get it. I'm going to show Jerry Krause he's so dead wrong about Phil Jackson.
And which one's faster?
This one's faster.
Tom Brady
really?
Yesterday said,
amazing.
Watch this.
Which one has a better touchscreen?
Surface has better touchscreen.
I don't need $108 million guaranteed dollars that
Macs don't have touchscreens.
You should get a Surface. Trust me. A MacBook.
So far.
Well, there you have it. MacBook says get a Surface.
Isn't it nice when you can keep things simple? Well, now you can switch to Sprint and get both an unlimited plan with Hulu and the all-new Samsung Galaxy S10 for just $35.
Favored to reach the Super Bowl. And
Simple.
Once again, who's the favorite to win this year's Super Bowl?
Endless options at apartments.com. Each leading exciting new universe.
They just are. Is it not a fact?
Those are just lazy odds makers.
Apartments.com. Change your apartment. Change your universe.
They pick them every year.
Burger King Taco. I didn't know they made tacos.
It's super crispy.
It definitely is a spot. It's a flavorful taco. You mean to tell me it's only $1?
Talk about a surprise. It's Burger King's new $1 crispy taco. Only at Burger King.
I find it hard to stay on top of it.
A faster laptop could help. Plus, tech support to stay worry-free.
He can't win a big game.
Tom Brady wants to be treated like a
now save up to $200 on all Lenovo products. Save up to $200 at Office Depot Office Max or OfficeDepot.com.
This is a new season. This is a new game.
You don't want anybody else to like that. He said I was thinking about myself. You know what's good? He don't have to drum up no, this guy just like me. The Patriots said, you want a 1-year contract, bro. Drum up however you want to. You get 1 year.
The end. Mindlessly marches on, carrying up to 50 times its body weight.
Is that the truth?
It never questions.
Nobody else wants that. Everybody else wants security.
Well, if 2 years old,
see what he said?
Thrilling
I'm
path to
secure for
follow.
this year. I think that's what he said. This is to your all shut your gee whiz. I think he said At least I'm getting a few of the first team snaps.
I fear the laws of human nature. Somewhat
you can tell by that game and let you know he ain't happy. Because they could have easily said, oh, he got a 2-year extension for $70 million.
The Arizona Cardinals select
guaranteed for you.
Kyler Murray.
There's a new playmaker in the desert. #1 pick, Kyler Murray, makes his highly anticipated debut when the Cardinals host the Chargers.
Oh, really?
In 2020,
So you know what Tom Brady did last year?
Le'Veon Bell is back.
Every year it's a new
When the
thing.
Jets take on
I got to reinvent myself. I got to get better.
My goodness,
Played
this dude's a beast.
69
story
preseason
starts
snaps
here.
last year. It's
NFL
outrageous
preseason,
more than
Thursday at
anybody
7,
played.
live on NFL
69.
Network.
Belichick told him he was playing 69.
Really?